You're watching Drakewing Gaming. Enjoy the video. Hey guys, Nary here from Drakewing Gaming. Some of you know me on Twitter, the Gaming Dragon. Today I'm coming at you another Let's Play episode of Far Beyond the World. So, the last place we left off, we were just having a little chat with Varissa, and she was wondering if we might want to stay with her instead of, Ranic. And, well, Orien wouldn't have none of that, and he freaked out. Because he loves his wolfy boy. Yes, he does. But anyway, guys, sit back and enjoy. Let me start Alarm Chan. Alarm Chan has been initiated, and let's jump right into it. I thought we were bonding. He almost told me about the Moon Brother thing, and when he suddenly bolted. If you want personal details from Vull, you need more moonshine than that. She nods towards the bottle, clearly entertained by the idea of my attempt at befriending the Black Wolf. He's not the one to open up easily. Still, him staying even for a little bit is a huge success. How so? Vull is more likely to pick a fight than a conversation. In fact, the only wolf he seems to tolerate is Ranic. Those two... She sighs with genuine admiration. A bond like that is extremely rare, even among our people. I smile, quite touched by the sentiment. They do seem to be true friends, not afraid to call each other out on their bullshit. Something I'm sure is rare even among humans. I envy them that. You and the rest of us, those two are like two sides of the moon, and their moonstones attest to that. Vull seemed to suggest his bond with Ranic has nothing to do with the moonstones themselves. She smiles, scoffing softly in amusement. That's his cynical side. He's always wary of everything he cannot see or understand. But at the same time, I can empathize with him. After all, if people avoided you and you were told your entire life that you're damned only because of your necklace, you'd be quite resentful as well. What do you mean? I blink in confusion, causing the female to pause. Her gaze drifts to the side as she clearly ponders whether or not she said too much. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to pry. No, I think you should know. She finally faces me again with a rather serious expression. It should make things a little bit clearer. I nod expectantly. Our births take place in a moon well. It's a shallow pool of water at the center of our shrine which collects the light of a luna and infuses the waters with it. I know, Vull explained as much, but why would he be considered damned? The dark moon is a very bad omen, in fact, one of the worst. No female would give birth under it if she could help it. Why? Dark moon represents the unforgiving, ruthless side of a luna. She's the goddess of many faces, and a total eclipse is her most terrifying one. When Vull came into the world, he was seen as the avatar of her wrath, and everyone held their breath. I narrow my brows, slightly skeptical. It's quite easy to brush off one's behavior as to the coincidental phenomena. Vull might be quick to anger, but I'm sure it's rather the result of years of being picked on, rather than the omen itself. And just as everyone held their breath, so did the pup. I tilt my head in confusion. Vull wasn't breathing, nor moving, with eyes closed shut. He was stillborn. My eyes widen in shock, and I almost feel a void growing inside my stomach. I know he's alive and well, but damn. I did not expect such a turn to the story. When a pup is born, a moonstone appears at the bottom of the pool, but as much as he tried, the shaman couldn't find one, confirming the unthinkable. Vull's mother was heartbroken and refused to leave the well. She cursed the name of Aluna, then bargained with her, and finally she begged, all to no avail. The pain and suffering of the poor female must have been impossible to describe. She simply resigned herself to sitting there, in those waters, frozen in place and holding her unmoving newborn tight. I swallow heavily, my eyes slightly glossed over. I cannot even begin to imagine the horror of having your child die, let alone having it die before it was even born. Shortly after, Ranic's mother arrived at the shrine unexpectedly. Although her pup wasn't due yet, she suddenly went into labor. She was brought into the same waters, resting next to Vull's mother, and just as the last slivers of darkness departed Luna's ever-changing image, another pup came into the world. Ranic's very first yelp caused Vull to finally stir to life and open his eyes. Their first glances weren't to their respective mothers, but to each other instead. A subtle smile stretches across my face. Within the same moment, the shaman picked up both stones together, one fully black and the other fully white. It was almost as if Vull was waiting for his brother to join him, refusing to enter this world alone. That's absolutely beautiful. It's hard to hide how moved I am by this story, but Verissa doesn't judge. In fact, she only smiles, nodding in agreement. It is, and so is their unique relationship. They are the two sides of the same goddess, one full of hatred and coldness, the other loving and forgiving. I chuckle, awkwardly rubbing my cheek to remove a stray tear. I can certainly attest to their polarity from first-hand experience. Ever since those two were at each other's side, inseparable, just like Mother Moon intended. Nothing would get between them. It would seem not even you. I look at her confused. Why would I get between them? I would never. You already did. Vull is extremely duty-bound. He would do anything for his people. As an outsider, you were a major threat. Every instinct in his body told him to kill you outright, but... She paused, sighing through a smile. Vull would sooner die than betray Ranic, or cause him pain. That sort of loyalty cannot be bought. You were the greatest test of his devotion. And that devotion is the only reason why you're even alive. The female takes on a more serious tone. Make no mistake, Orien. Vull tolerates you because Ranic is dead set on you. If not for Ranic, he would have killed you without a second thought. I wince uncomfortably, the feeling of utter confidence in the black male slightly weakened. I always knew it's Ranic I owe my life. I just never realized how true this sentiment really was. Vull might be too blind to see it, but your fate was already decided those 2 decades ago when as a frail pup he refused to draw his first breath. Fate doesn't happen overnight. It's laid out from the beginning of time until the end of the world. That is why it's hard to see it at times. That is why it's near impossible to read it with any sense of certainty. You're basically gazing into eternity, hoping to catch a specific moment in time. She pauses, letting the words sink in, and I'm dumbfounded. Everything she says is true. Had Vull not forged this connection with Ranic, I would have never woken up in this cabin. This is also why I cannot always give a clear answer. Even I have to wait until the truth reveals itself to me, and that takes time and patience. One just has to observe and listen. You're alive because seemingly unrelated events happened at different times, forming a very specific pattern. She vocalizes my own thoughts, causing me to blink in realization. That's what Ranic said. Fate is a lot of things falling into place in just the right way. I quote the Grey Wolf, almost surprised at how profound his wisdom was. Verissa closes her eyes and smiles, betraying a hint of pride. Well, I'm glad to hear he's not just a goof around you. He's not as bad as you make him out to be, I mutter defiantly. You think I don't know that? She laughs me off. He's my friend, and he has been one for a long time, and will continue to be so for many years to come. I'm only harsh on him because I know he's capable of being better, because that's what he always strives to be. She explains matter-of-factly. He was born and trained to rule, and he has the makings of a great chief. I just want to make sure the future he laid out for people will come to pass. Even if his ideas might be controversial, radical. She interrupts me through a chuckle. Dear boy, you're the walking embodiment of those. A living, breathing proof that this wolf will do anything as long as he believes it's the right thing to do. It's about time there was a wolf in charge with a moral compass and still resolved to follow it. A moral compass. He told me to follow mine so many times, because that's the truth he strives to live by. He's really an amazing wolf. The fact that both Verissa and Vull placed their faith in him proves it beyond doubt. It explains why I feel so safe around him. With Vull at his side and you to advise him, it seems nothing can stand in Ranic's way. I smile. Fate, Orien. The female nods affirmatively. Everything was arranged before any of us were even born. All we have to do is play our parts. And now that also includes you. She stands up, issuing a melodic laugh. What's so funny? Not in my wildest dreams would I think a human be a key to the future of my people. I'm still trying to piece together all the parts, but so far you fit into this puzzle. She rests her paw on her hips, looking around with slight amusement. Ancestors sure do like to laugh in the face of the living, but when you're dead, the only thing you have left is a sense of humor. The female pushes the chair back into place and approaches the doors. I better head out, otherwise Ranic's father is going to have another fit. Oh, okay, I snout, standing up and approaching her. I pull on the handle, opening the doors for her. My, you do play your part well. You might survive us yet. She ruffles my hair as I blink in confusion, not really sure what she meant. I'm just being polite. You keep tight. Ranic should be coming back soon. As the female leaves, I close the doors behind her. The house got incredibly dark and quiet with her departure, but I won't let that bother me. Despite the creeping fear inside my heart, I simply shake it off and sit down, looking at the window. The ominous presence deep inside my mind stirs, growing bolder with each passing moment. I try to distract myself. I must distract myself. I cannot let it win. Verissa gave me a lot to think about, so I focus on our conversation instead. She certainly managed to clear some of my doubts about Ranic. I can now clearly see that he's simply letting off steam whenever he can. It's the only way to avoid breaking under such immense pressure. I don't think I would be able to cope with so many expectations placed on my shoulders. It's incredibly impressive how well he manages, all things considered. And then there's Vull, whom I really need to be careful around. It would seem I've mistaken his leeway for friendliness. I can see he's genuinely amused by me, but it's definitely in the context of me being Ranic's path. He's just entertaining his friend's whim. But I can work with that. After all, the foot is in the door. And knowing now how harsh Vull's upbringing was, growing up believing you were born bad, that must have been rough. A self-fulfilling prophecy. Him keeping distance is now so much more understandable. Yes, he is quick to anger. He is violent, but he is a wolf like Ranic cherishes him so much. But if a wolf like Ranic cherishes him so much, then Vull cannot be evil. No, I do not see that way. I do not see him that way. Blackstone be damned. If he means so much to Ranic, then he means as much to me. You mean nothing. Suddenly the strangest of feelings overwhelms me, as if I were contracting onto myself while the walls got bigger and taller. The shadows seem to elongate, reaching out from within the dark corners, and I immediately shift my gaze onto the table, locking my eyes with the woodwork patterns. It's not real, it's just in my head. I breathe heavily, not even realizing when I start to shiver. Oh shit. A torturous moan stretches across the back wall, as if the sudden expansion put a strain on the house. It feels like the room twists and contorts, with the walls closing in on me. Get a grip, Orien. I grab my head, pleading with myself. I know this is just my panic attack, nothing more, but the sound continues almost as if trying to prove me wrong. Stumbling to my feet, I nervously look around the room. I feel so small and insignificant, as though I'd shrunk and lost at least half of my height. I was undersized for this place before, but now it looks as if I can't even reach the table anymore. What is going on? My feet move back as I retreat from the kitchen, but when I feel the room begin to spin, I simply run into the bedroom and slam the door shut. Fuck this! I slump down, resting my crying face on my knees. Fuck this shit! This isn't normal. My tears flow like waterfalls. I'm bawling my eyes out, and I realize that if I allow my wailing to continue, I will draw unnecessary attention to myself. I try to stabilize my breath, hearing it rattle loudly across the room. I remind myself what Ranic used to do, and I embrace my shoulders, and I embrace my shoulders. Okay. Slowly squeezing them in the rhythm of my palpitating heart. Okay. Breathe in. I recall his caring voice. Breathe out. With much struggle, I manage to regain some form of self-control. As my breath slows down, I take in the scent of the woods outside, almost feeling as if the wolf was here with me. You're all alone. I look around the empty room, feeling utterly helpless. I am completely at the mercy of my empty mind. I don't even know what the hell is wrong with me, or why my emotions spiral out of control so violently. One thing is certain: I'm alone in this world. With each passing day, it becomes clearer that I've lost everyone. My family, my friends. Surely I had those. My life, such as it was, is now gone, replaced by whatever the fuck this is. My sanity cannot rely on Ranic forever, but for the first time, being that wolf is the key to keep whatever the hell is going on with me in check. I don't have a choice but to lean in. I try to swallow, but a lump sticks halfway down my throat. I notice the jug of water in the cupboard, and I get up. I pour myself a cup and drink thirstily. I'm parched, and a realization finally dawns on me. It must have been the booze. This weird episode was just me tripping on whatever the hell it was we drank. I slap my head in mild annoyance. I'm such an idiot! I should not be drinking in my current state of mind. It's literally asking for trouble. I finally compose myself and take a deep breath, glad to find a reason behind all this madness. When I look around the dark room, a slight uneasiness fills me once again. It's getting late, so it shouldn't be long before Ranic returns. Or so I hope. A chill creeps down my back, sending a shiver across my entire body. It's gotten cold again. I look at the chest, remembering there were some old clothes in there. As it creaks open, I look at the contents. There's the swords, some of his old loincloths, doubtless the ones of which I was gagged with, and a spare cloak. I pull it out and flap around to sew to straighten the fabric. It's clean for the most part, I take an idle sniff. Phew! It's musky. Very musky. I drop it to the floor. That's like a whole week of extensive workouts. But then again, I reluctantly trail the empty room. It looks so foreboding and unwelcoming. Being stuck on my own in this dark old house only makes it easier to surrender myself to despair and longing. Despite the sweaty smell, the cloak does remind me of him, almost as if a piece of him was still here. And it is cold. I sigh and pick up the cloth, wrapping it around my shoulders. It's so snug. It feels as if he himself embraced me. Maybe a bit exhausted after a spar, a bit stinky, but still very much smelling like the forest. I decide to seat myself on the ledge to look at the woods outside. It's a very calm night with the bright moon high above the treetops. The slow rustle of the canopy is much more soothing and calming than the dark interior of the house. But there's no escaping the darkness stalking my mind. I feel as if I'm being watched. Again, my heart sinks, and I burrow myself into the cloak, inhaling deeply. His scent calms me down slightly, but my heart is already racing. The ease with which I freak out is alarming, but then again, I really don't have a clue at what happened in those woods. I huddle myself, waiting for the oblivion to claim me, but there's no such luck. I have to endure my tortured thoughts for what feels like an eternity, until I hear the doors to the house finally creak open. Ranic returned. I try to collect myself, to rub away any stray tears, but there is no hiding my distress. I feel like such a wimp. Ranic opens the door to the bedroom, and I can see he's clearly upset. Ugh, I'm sorry I took so long. Father put me through hell on the count of, well... It's fine. I cut him off with a weak smile. No need for him to make excuses. I'm just glad he's finally here. Is it, though? Because it seems like you were crying. It's just my mind wandering off. I don't feel like being alone with my thoughts. It takes me to dark places. Speaking of... The wolf walks towards the cupboard and opens the top drawer. He removes from it a bundle of tinder along with what I assume is a flint and some sort of steel loop. He puts the loop onto his knuckles and strikes the flint with it, allowing sparks to fall down onto the tinder. Ooh, that's pretty. Within moments he lights up the candles, and the room is suddenly bathed in the warm hues. Much better. I can't help but be amazed at his old-timey gadgets. I wouldn't last a day without his aid or guidance. Wish I was this resourceful. I'm extremely tired. I had a rather rough sparring session today, he mutters, rubbing his shoulder with pain clearly visible in his muzzle. But I wouldn't mind staying up a bit. We could grab some ale, I propose, remembering how Vull commented on the quality of Ranic's beverage. He must enjoy it to have a barrelful of it. Yeah, we could. The wolf smiles. And I could get that for you. I nod towards his shoulder, but he didn't seem to understand my intention. Oh? I can try and massage it while you relax. Huh, that does sound nice. He smiles again, but quickly his expression fills with embarrassment. I don't want to take advantage, though. How could you, if I'm the one offering? I smirk, jumping off the ledge and rushing towards the kitchen. I'm not much of an ale drinker, but I will humor the wolf. He seems to have had a rough day. As I fill our mugs with dark brew, Ranic builds the fire. He huffs repeatedly at the tinder placed beneath the logs, clearly encouraging the flame to climb higher. I bring the filled tankards to the table, observing him intently. It would be useful to learn his method, the sooner the better. Could you teach me how to do this? I ask once the flames dance merrily inside the hearth. Sure, there's not much to it. He nods, joining me at the table. This is the fire striker. The wolf places a metal loop in front of me. You make sparks by striking it at the edge of the flint. He then plops down a small glossy-looking stone. If you do that repeatedly on top of tinder, or kindling, eventually you get fire. I always have some laying around, top drawer, in the bedroom. He points behind me at the cupboard in the other room. And here, underneath the hearth. The The wolf looks down, drawing my gaze to a heap of twigs and hay hidden in the niche beneath the stove. Thanks. I'll give it a try tomorrow. You better. I don't want you to wait in the dark until I come home. That's not good for you. Yeah. I laugh awkwardly, not really keen on discussing my little freak out. Since he's finally here, I'd rather focus on making the most of it. As he plops comfortably down, grabbing his mug, I stand up and walk behind him. He follows me with his gaze, as I begin to softly knead his shoulder. Offered you a massage, didn't I? Yeah. He muses, closing his eyes and enjoying the rubbing. Alright, there we go, guys. Ooh, that has been a new episode. Thank you all so much for watching. Looks like we're about to give Ranic a little shoulder massage. Maybe a little more. But thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and ring that notification bell to the next video. I love you all. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye!